A house is made of wood and stone, but only love can make a home. Welcome to the RepcoLite Home Improvement Show, helping you make your home into one you'll love even more. On News Radio Wood 1300 and 106.9 FM.
Well, good morning, everybody. Happy Saturday. Happy Saturday, Dan.
Hi, Dan.
Hi. Hey, I want to talk about something. I started looking at Twitter. I've never paid attention to Twitter. I never really understood the point of
tweeting?
Twitter. Yeah. The whole thing seemed kind of out there to me. And then, this whole election thing happened. And is happening. It just seems to be the eternal
It's not over.
Eternal election. But anyway, I started to realize, I can get, some specific news via Twitter. That I wasn't getting on Facebook. I was getting lots of everybody's favorite meals and stuff like that on Facebook, mixed in with a few little newsy items.
Right.
Now,
You're looking for just news.
I was looking for just news, and I've had a lot of fun. But I had something that I think you will find interesting. It's a little concerning to me.
Okay.
It's a little creepy.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. So I'm messing around with Twitter, and I find in, some of the settings parts of it. And trust me, everybody listening, this is worth listening to when I get there. And I'm scrolling around, and I find this thing that says, download your archive. And I thought, what is my archive? So I click the little question icon,
Yeah, right.
Tell
What
me
does
more
this
about
mean?
this. And it says, click this button, and Twitter will send you a file in a day or so about all the information they're gathering on you.
Oh, boy.
Oh, good. Let's look into that.
Oh, boy.
So anyway, I clicked that, and I forgot that I had done that. A day later, I get an email. Your
It
Twitter
took a
download.
day to compile all this information.
I've only been on for a week.
Right?
At this point. What's really interesting is, so it's got all these different things that I apparently care about, and I don't really understand how they've gathered this all.
Do you actually care about it, or is it?
Yes.
Oh, really?
They're really accurate.
Oh, boy.
So The Mandalorian, the Disney show, and this and that. And maybe I had liked somebody who's on the show, and I was following them on Twitter.
You did that?
I did.
Away? Okay.
So I discounted all of that because the very first item on the list was hashtag Happy Saturday.
Wow.
And I have never in my life Googled Happy Saturday. I have never, but I say it all the time. And you and I had a big conversation about that last week. I started the show right after I got on Twitter. I started the show with Happy Saturday.
Yeah.
I think my phone is listening to
you.
me.
Oh, and reporting it all to Twitter.
Yes.
You're being
I don't know if
tracked.
I'm crazy. But
Well,
I don't
that's
know.
always a possibility, I guess.
I don't know why Happy Saturday would be the very first thing on my
I'm
Twitter.
not going towards Twitter.
I
then.
know.
I'm
It made me,
scared.
now I cover the microphone if I'm saying something important. Anyway, I'll dig into that. If I ever figure out more,
Yeah, let me know. I'm just going to stay away for now.
I know, yeah. So anyway, that's my little quick blurb for the day. Today on the show, we've got a number of different things. We've got, at the end of the show, we're going to talk about our contest.
Yeah, right. Our holiday contest.
Yeah, we've got a big Christmas giveaway, and we do that. We've done that the last 2 years. This is our third one. It's just as cool, if not cooler, than previous years.
Of course.
You're going to want to check that out. We're going to tell you everything you need to know coming up at the end of the show. I've also got 2 segments that I recorded a while back.
Okay.
And we're going to air those, and it's just me speaking with Haley Johnson from Benjamin Moore about the importance of decorating our homes for Christmas this year especially.
Yeah, right.
If you're not a big Christmas decorator, this is the year to get into it.
Right.
And
what else are you going to do?
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a little bit. That's coming up. But right now, you wanted to talk about, again, we're kind of right on the cusp. Last week we talked about vehicle storage.
We're always a little behind, maybe.
We're working towards getting ahead. But this time you had a real interesting...
Yeah, what I did last weekend.
Yeah.
Planted some tulip bulbs. And it was not, I thought it was going well, but it really didn't go that great.
Okay.
So anyway, I have a special little tool that I use it's a big drill bit.
Okay.
That I use
Yep,
to,
I've seen
to,
those.
drill holes in the ground. It makes it go a lot faster.
Mm-hmm.
I planted about 200 tulips. And within 15 minutes of being done and walking in the house, look out the window, and there are squirrels digging up the tulips.
Hey, guys, party over here.
Within a day,
Really?
they were all dug up. 200 of them. 200,
All of them?
Yes, every single one. And I would look in the branches of the tree, and there's a squirrel there with a big tulip bulb in its
they're
mouth.
eating them.
Yeah, and they're glaring at me. Like.
Do they do their little chatter thing, their little bark thing?
Yeah, well, they can't do that, I think, when their mouth is full. But
So how do you fix that? And you have an interesting and kind of gross solution.
Right. So there's multiple solutions. One is first thing is don't let the squirrels watch you planting the bulbs, because I think that was my first mistake.
You need to have somebody distract them.
They were watching. They were looking. Yeah. Maybe you get one of those things that the utility workers have, those tents that you can put over the
Guys, something's going on under that tent.
Right. So that's number one. Maybe do it at night.
Okay. The cover
So
of night.
make sure that the squirrels aren't watching, because they were totally just waiting for the buffet to open. And so
First thing.
that's first thing. After that, it becomes how to prevent them from getting at the bulbs. A lot of people suggested to me use chicken wire. It's kind of ugly. I got to look at that chicken wire.
Maybe you could paint it a festive color.
That seems
Probably
like a lot
not.
of work.
A lot of work.
There's a product out there designed specifically for this, and it's called Plant Skid. And what it is, this is the gross part that you're referring to, it's dried up blood, animal blood.
Animal blood.
Pig or cow blood. Yeah.
Yes.
And they don't like the smell of that. It smells like death to them.
Do we smell it?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I mean, it doesn't have a strong odor.
You haven't noticed it.
Right.
But the animals do.
Yep. It comes in either a liquid form that you spray on the bulbs before you plant them.
Okay.
Spray it on there, let it dry, plant them.
Yep.
Or there's a granules that you put over the ground after you've planted them. So even if you've got your tulip bulbs already planted this year,
Still buy these granules.
yep, sprayed them over the ground and hope for the best.
All right. So what's it called again? Plant Skid.
Yes, Plant Skid Animal Repellent.
Animal repellent.
Does things like, everything from deer and moose down to voles and mice.
Yeah. So if you're struggling with moose, it will even work for that.
Moose or mice.
Yeah. We'll put a link in the show notes so you can check it out. Now, we're going to take a break.
Okay.
And when we come back, I'm going to play that old interview about Christmas decorating. It's never aired before. It's really good. And it's coming up next. And then make sure you stay attached to the radio, because at the end of the show, we're going to tell you how you can get entered into our Great Big Christmas Contest giveaway. And all of that is coming up in just a little bit. Stay tuned.
Helping you turn your house into your dream home. This is the RepcoLite Home Improvement Show, presented by Benjamin Moore on News Radio Wood 1300 and 106.9 FM.
And we're back, and I am in the studio with Haley Johnson. I can't remember your title. I covered my notes. Hardware Development Representative from Benjamin Moore. You cover the whole state.
The whole
right?
state, yeah. I do a lot of driving.
A lot of driving. So
It's a good thing it's a pretty state.
Yeah, there you go. So yeah, you get to see a lot of it from the front seat of your car.
Yeah.
You don't have a chauffeur, right? That'd be pretty cool.
I like that. Will you propose that for me?
Yeah.
That we all just get chauffeured
Benjamin
around
Moore.
states.
It should just be chauffeured around the Benjamin Moore people. Right. But anyway, I'm just rambling because I do fill the void when there is one. And you mentioned, I was talking about that before we went on air.
Yeah.
And you had a very specific term.
Fear of vacui. It is the fear of empty space.
The fear of empty space. You
Yeah.
diagnosed me like that.
Right. Well, I love that idea, like the fear of empty space.
Why do you love that idea? It's pretty hard to live in that spot.
Yeah.
Let me tell you.
I think I like to reduce, though.
So you like empty space.
Yeah.
So when I'm filling it with constant chatter, that's
Well-
not what you're looking for. You would prefer the silence just a little bit, right?
Not if you're uncomfortable, though.
Yeah, see,
Because then it's uncomfortable.
it's very uncomfortable.
It's only fun if everyone likes the empty
if
space.
everybody likes the empty space. Yeah. Sometimes I do. But anyway, I fill the void a lot. Betsy, who used to co-host the show with me, she said I had verbal vomit, I think was her
That's
phrase.
accurate, too.
That's what I do. Anyway, we're here, and we're going to talk about Christmas decorating because this year of all years, it's probably very important to do that. You know, everybody's deciding what they're going to be doing for the holidays, and a lot of folks aren't going to be celebrating them the same way as they normally have.
Yeah, it doesn't feel as festive overall because you don't have all these family gatherings you're planning on doing, and it doesn't feel like Thanksgiving or Christmas is about to happen anymore, especially like I've heard, at least, that we're not going to have as much snow this year.
Oh, we've heard that too already?
Yeah, so I don't think Christmas is going to feel all that Christmassy.
2020. Did you see the New York tree?
I
haven't. They have the
haven't.
big tree in New York.
Yeah, I
big
haven't
Christmas
seen
tree?
it this year. Did they put it up already?
I think so. I'm still trying to determine if this is a true photograph.
Okay.
If it is, and I think it is, the Christmas tree in New York this year is definitely on brand for 2020.
Oh, no.
It's like
misshapen,
and everybody's talking about it, how hideous it is.
The poor tree.
Yeah, maybe they'll really, it'll be the Charlie Brown thing where
Yeah, exactly.
a few ornaments will just make it pop. I don't know. 2020, let's get done with it. But back to this topic, decorating for Christmas this year for sure is definitely something that's important. And I bounced this idea off of you, and you came back with a couple of different ways to look at it, and I thought it was really interesting. You wanted to focus on bringing the outside in.
Yes,
and
definitely.
then some paint projects. So we're gonna just split this up. We know that this segment's going to be just focused on bringing the outside in.
Yep.
And what are you really getting at with that?
Well, I think one, focusing on projects that you can do at home is really a good thing right now. Going outside, getting out of the house in ways that you can, right? Maybe we can't go places, but we can at least go outside, go to the park, gather some materials to do these fun projects and help decorate for the holidays. But also, I think bringing in those natural elements is really appealing from a design standpoint too, all of the textures and colors that you can work with. So I think overall it just will make a cozy holiday.
All right, so let's talk about a few of those projects. And the first one you had down was wreath making. And you did
classic.
something with your mom, I think it was, for Thanksgiving, right? You didn't gather for food, but you did this really interesting...
Right. Normally, the day after Thanksgiving, we have cookie day. So we go in the kitchen, cousins come over, grandparents are there, and we bake cookies, decorate them for Christmas.
Oh, really?
That's always been our tradition. But this year, because the grandparents were feeling a little bit nervous, my mom is kind of an immune sensitive person as well, so we decided to do something outside, and that would be wreath making. So we just opened up the garage door, put some big card tables out there, had some heaters running, and had it all set up so we had these wreath making stations where we could be spread out from each other but still be doing something festive, and then I get a bunch of wreaths to take home.
Yeah, so talk about that, because that was one of your ideas. It's just putting these wreaths together. What kind of things do we need? What kind of things could we...
So the first thing
and you said
need...
we could go to parks to get this stuff.
Yeah.
Can we?
Maybe
just under cover of darkness.
Yeah, maybe I'm not supposed to do that. I did it.
Oh, wow. So anybody looking for Haley, the park...
The ranger?
No, yeah, the
Or
park rangers
yeah.
might be looking for you.
Well.
But you can pick stuff up off the ground. I mean, we're not necessarily
Yeah, it
talking
was
about cutting
fallen
down
already.
living things.
Right.
But you can do that around your home.
Yeah.
So cutting down greens
Or
and
even
stuff like that. I assume
you've
you
got
need
some
those things.
friendly neighbors, maybe.
Yeah.
But the first thing you need is a frame, essentially, to put the wreath materials onto. So there's a couple different ways you can do this. I think the fanciest way that looks the nicest is if you use a natural grapevine. Another thing that you can use, especially if you're using fake plants, would just be one of the foam rings that you can buy that are a green color. And then you're just really simply pushing the ends into the foam, and it is pretty easy that way. The other thing is the wire frames. And I think those are probably the easiest to find sometimes. Even hardware stores typically carry those. But then you just need floral wire. So it's the green wire. It's really thin, flexible. And you're just going to essentially tie your
all the branches and whatnot to it.
Decoration onto the form.
So there's that. I like that. The whole wreath making thing, that's kind of fun. And that could be a kid thing. Get kids
absolutely.
Involved. I saw something cool that was... I've got 2 lights on the side of the house, like a sconce, like sconces. That's the plural, right?
Sconces.
What is the plural?
I'm not going to pretend to know the answer.
Oh, well, thank you. At least that. So we're going to go with sconces.
Yeah.
Anyway, I've got multiples. And I saw this thing where you get basically the foam block, that foam, floral foam.
Yeah.
And then you get a wire hanger and you bend the hanger all around and kind of, so you can you've got the hook hanging up above that foam block.
Okay.
Okay. And then you zip tie
Sure.
the hanger to that block.
Okay.
All right. So that's why you do the bending on the back of the hanger, to make it kind of take the shape-ish of that block. And then you stuff it with all kinds of greens and whatnot. And then you hang it from your
cute.
sconces. Yes. Yeah. Cute. Cool. I prefer cool. It was cool.
Very cool.
Very cool. So that was something. I'll put a picture of those things in the show notes. It was simple to do.
Right.
It looks simple to do. I haven't done it.
And it can be fun too, right? It doesn't have to be like the serious thing, like I'm going to make the perfect wreath. Like there's so many different ways to
you
approach
say that.
those things.
I just want to know, do you say that because you assume I couldn't make the perfect wreath?
Of course not.
You do!
But I think that a lot of people are intimidated by
there.
craft projects sometimes.
Yes. Let's
because
go
they're
that
not
way.
an artiste.
Right.
But really, I mean, anyone can do this. It could look like anything. You could put a bunch of cotton balls on it and call it snow and, pin in some little Christmas trees or something.
The point is to have fun
exactly.
with it. Yeah. So even if you're not the craftiest of all people, it's still something you can do.
Right.
What's another thing?
Yeah, so I didn't realize that you could do this, but I think it's appropriate for 2020 because everyone was doing like their victory gardens over the summer and spring, and now coming into winter it's actually the perfect time to start rooting tree branches. So you can take clippings from pine trees. Ideally it would be a younger tree, and they could be various sizes of branches, but I think most people are going to go for smaller ones to put in the house. So you get these clippings, you get some jars or vases that you like, fill them halfway with water, put in the branch so that the stick is in the water, and then over the coming weeks, it'll start to root. So you've got a Christmas tree, essentially.
It literally starts to root.
Right.
And you can take that and plant it later, and it will grow into another Christmas tree.
Exactly.
Or another tree.
Yeah, it's called cloning.
See, I didn't know that. That was kind of...
I had no idea until this year, but I love it.
Does it need to be a certain size jar?
I think like mason jar size. I guess that comes in a lot of different sizes, but it should be appropriate for the size of the branch you pick.
But
so
that's a cool thing for a mantle or something like that.
Right. I love the way it looks. It's really simple, and you could have a lot of fun. Even, you could get the cheap glass from the Dollar Tree, but if you go to some place like Goodwill or you stop by a garage sale, there's always those like funky old vintage vases, right? With like the forms and the molds that they were put into are just kind of different. And if it's all clear glass with water and these green little sprigs sticking up out of it, it's just a nice, simple, elegant way to decorate. And then you've essentially got dozens of Christmas trees in your house.
That's very fun. I like that. You get an A for that one. One other one in the last little bit that we've got that you want to talk about. You pick.
So I really like, and this was something that my mom wanted to do last year, but she didn't get around to, but it's making like a Christmas terrarium, essentially. So again, finding, I think ideally this time a round globe vase, getting either some Epsom salt or like some cotton to use as snow. And then you can either take it like the snow globe direction, get some miniatures and create little scenes in there, or you could go very natural and just fill it with essentially like a winter arrangement. But I think those make really pretty centerpieces, and that's a fun thing to do with kids too, especially if you're going like the snow globe direction.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's all really cool. But we've hit the end of this segment, so we're going to take a break. And when we come back, we're going to be talking about some paint projects. Because that's what everybody wants to do for the holidays.
Paint.
Yeah. But it's not as crazy as it may sound.
No, it's not.
We'll make the case in just a minute. Stay tuned.
If you want to take your DIY skills up a rung, the RepcoLite Home Improvement Show is here to give you a boost. On News Radio Wood 1300 and 106.9 FM.
And here we are once again. We just finished talking about some ways to decorate for the holidays for Christmas by bringing the outdoors in. And now we're going to talk about everybody's favorite getting ready for the holidays project, and that's painting.
Yeah,
right?
painting.
Yeah.
Who doesn't love painting?
Everybody loves it, especially around the holidays.
Yeah.
You know, I always feel bad because I feel obligated in a sense to talk about it. Once we start to hit Thanksgiving, you better get the house painted for the guests coming. Well, of course,
it's probably
thanks
not
2020.
Yeah.
Who knows what's happening with that?
But just for you, I mean, it's nice.
Right. And I always feel bad because people are so busy.
Yeah.
You know, the holidays are busy as it is. So really, how many people tackle a paint project? Well, this year might be the year. And
Exactly.
it doesn't need to be a great, big, gigantic, extreme paint project either, right? There's other things we can do.
There's plenty of overlooked spaces, I think, or surfaces that are in the house that are small projects but could make a really big impact or just help add, another festive touch. Or maybe it's even just painting something neutral so that the things that you brought in that were festive don't clash or get camouflaged because you've already got a green on the wall, right?
Right. So let's talk about some of those projects. Where might you look around your house to find some small areas where you're not doing huge overhauls at this point in the year, but little touches?
And I think painting too can be for the person that maybe doesn't love to decorate with a bunch of knickknacks either. Like maybe to some people that just sounds like a bunch of clutter. Mm-hmm. But there's all these surfaces that you can still help create that ambiance,
sure.
right? So one of those I think is just painting the inside of the front door.
Okay.
Very simple. That's a very small surface. You need less than a quarter paint for that. And it can make a big impact, right?
How often do you see people paint the inside of a door
Usually,
a different color?
They're going to paint it either the front door color that's on the outside or they're just going to paint it the trim color that's on the inside, right? So a lot of times they're already a two-tone, but why not have fun with that surface, right? There's no rules there.
Right. And I think one of the things that happens is we generally paint it the same color as the trim. Mm-hmm. And so we get that in our head.
Right.
That it's got to be the same color as the trim. But it doesn't.
It doesn't.
Not at all. So just that one door can make a big difference. The thing I like about that is if you bring in, a new color there, it gives you so much to work with.
Right.
That you've got this whole new color to work with in everything that you for that entryway,
it becomes your accent color.
Right.
And now you're creating rhythm throughout the space by repeating this color in really small ways.
Mm-hmm.
So I love that idea. I think other surfaces could just be like the kitchen island. Maybe that's the one accent color in the room, is painting the kitchen island something different. And these don't have to be strictly Christmas colors, right?
So I don't have to paint them striped like red and white or something like that.
But
these can be colors that last all year long.
Yeah, exactly. Any of the greens that I think about are really popular colors right now, whether we're talking about Christmas or not. And there's a lot of different directions you can go with the green too. Are we talking about kind of our true foresty pine green? Are we talking about more of like a silvery gray green? Those are really popular, in vogue right now. Mm-hmm. And then we've got like our mid-century greens. Maybe we go a different direction.
Mid-century greens.
Yeah, like those.
Describe color over the radio for folks.
Kind of like, okay, so this one's called Wasabi. It's a Benjamin Moore color in the Affinity Collection. And it's one of those, maybe that some people would call like an avocado green. Some people that don't love this color would go more towards like the baby poop.
Oh. It's really Christmassy.
But I honestly love these kinds of greens.
I can't believe you just described it.
People know what I'm talking about.
For this color?
People know what I'm talking about. Either you're going to love this.
It?
I love this. Okay. But some people hate these greens. And so that's fine. I know what it looks like to you. But to me, it looks like this nice vintage, like 70s kind of green.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're one of the freaks like me that likes those greens, then this is the color for you, Wasabi.
But your bigger point was that you don't have to just use the typical green that we would think
so
about.
We're not talking about like Crayola Christmas green.
Right. There's lots of different ways to go with the green, and it will still play into any Christmas decorating that you do.
Right.
But the bigger picture is that it's going to be great all year round.
Exactly. You could even go with like a minty green.
Mm-hmm.
Mint green's like my favorite color. I would love to have an excuse to put that on a door. So I think Christmas is really, or the holidays in general, is just an excuse to paint maybe that we're looking to do for a year-round project.
Right.
But this is just a nice time. We're at home already. Might as well have a project. And it just reinforces the festive look.
And the other thing, like we started to say, is that adding a new color in an unusual or unexpected place can almost reinvigorate any decorating.
It gets you re-inspired.
Yeah, it kind of gets you going again. So doors, there's one place.
Yep.
Where else are some small spaces that you could tackle?
I love the idea of just painting the banister.
Okay.
Like that's already a place that if you've got an exposed stairwell that you're probably going to be hanging garland maybe, or if you're not into garland, maybe this is for you then. If you're just looking at freshening up that entryway space, painting the banister a different color is a great opportunity, I think. And that's kind of overlooked a lot.
Right. There's a number I should have mentioned too on the front doors. If you wanted to do something on the front doors, any number of paints. We'll walk you through the project, but the finish paint, like you said, it's probably it's a quart of paint. That's all you're going to need, and you won't use the whole thing. RepcoLite makes Hallmark. That would work fine. Benjamin Moore's Regal. Aura, depending on the color that you might choose.
Advance is my favorite, though.
Advance is really good for the inside of that door.
Yes. And technically, the high gloss can go inside or outside. But yeah, Advance is the easiest to work with. It just flows out like a dream. It'll look like you sprayed the door. You do not have to be a professional painter to not have brush marks with that paint.
No, Advance is a modified alkyd. We've talked about it a lot on the show, one of our favorite products. Perfect for that area.
Yep.
Banister.
Kitchen island, banister, all of those would be the same. Yep.
Yeah. And we'll walk you through any prep steps and things like that, because prep is key to making everything work.
Yes, it is.
We're not going to get into that on this. So the banisters, the doors, what else? I mean, I was thinking, Betsy and I, a couple of months ago, or maybe a month ago, we talked about a fireplace.
Yeah.
Painting a fireplace. I've got this 80s brick. It just makes that whole room dark.
Absolutely.
So much of it. And it's not a big project. It's not tons and tons of work. But
it makes such a difference.
Huge difference. And that would be fun, especially if you're starting, going to be
Absolutely.
decorating the mantle and stuff like that.
Why not make it a perfect backdrop?
Yeah, what a great backdrop. And it'll be great all year round.
Exactly.
So that's another one. What else?
Let's see. We talked about doors, and not even just the front door, but even bedroom doors. I kind of picture like one of those classic colonial homes where it has all the bedrooms on the second floor and you've got the row of doors.
Okay, yeah.
Like,
all the same color?
They could be, or they could not be. I mean,
really?
Could do...
You think you could pull it off with different colors?
If you did it right, you could do like an ombre effect with the doors.
All right.
So like starting at the top of the color chip and then working your way down and just doing like really simple tints and shades. Has to be the right space. But
it has to be the right space.
You can get creative.
And all, that's the thing. It's a matter of looking around your home and your space and seeing what you've got to work with. I had at my previous house just a very simple plain wooden stairway, no fancy banister or anything. Open the door and there's the stairway up. But it's wood steps, wood risers. The risers,
yes,
we painted those a different color, and that was just a fun way to bring in
absolutely
a new color. So you might have a space like that. We always talked about the backs of bookshelves and bookcases.
I think that's a perfect one too.
I think something that's really fun, and I've got to go around and see if I can find exactly what I'm looking for. But I guess the broader way to look at it is, some mission store, thrift store furniture piece that you paint an unusual color. That can be really fun.
Yeah.
I've seen a desk at some place that I went through where they had taken a desk and it was a very basic setting, a very traditional setting, but the desk was this turquoise blue. It was so unusual, and it just set the tone for the whole room. They could bring that blue around or versions of that blue in smaller areas.
Becomes an accent color.
Yeah, but what a unique piece that if it had been a normal color, what you would have expected to see, it would have faded away.
Right.
But as that desk, what I want to find, though, are like, I've got an old violin.
Okay.
But it's too nice to do anything to.
Right.
It looks good just as it is. But I'd love to find a couple that maybe aren't in working order, but paint those some kind of crazy color.
Yeah.
I think that could be really fun. A small project.
Right. Those found object ideas are so fun to me. I really love that because you're recycling things, right? You're bringing in something that is kind of left by the wayside otherwise and kind of creating a new life for it.
One really cool thing that Benjamin Moore offers, and we offer at all of our stores, are sample pints where you can get high-end paint, and you can get, the idea is that you can test out colors before you actually buy a gallon or a quart of paint. But you can also use these for small projects. You can get any Benjamin Moore color, get a pint of it, and you've got just enough to tackle some of these little
violins.
things. Right. Anyway, anything else? We probably have a minute or so if we want.
I think trim.
All right,
I want to talk about trim because
now you got a bunch of people
time,
who just heard you say trim and tie that in with a small project. That could be a big project, though, couldn't it?
I guess right now, I think for most of us, we think of trim as being the same color throughout the house and it should be white. But that's not necessarily true. I would challenge you to go on Pinterest, scroll around a little bit, because really it's an opportunity in every space could have a different trim color. If you really unify each space so that it goes with the colors that you're working with, it doesn't have to be white, right? It's actually a really great opportunity to repeat some of those accent colors or to create an accent color in a space, especially if you have the architecture to support it too, right? If you have nice crown molding, if you have some whiter baseboards, painting the trim looks great. I mean, it really doesn't have to be your typical white. And then you're kind of flipping it, right? If you're a person that loves to bring in color to your space, maybe you should really have neutral colored walls then. So why not make the trim the color in the room?
You've got to have good breaking points where you can start and stop. What kind of colors would you go to? I mean, is anything on the table, or are there limits?
I mean, I guess I see the same limits as the limits I see for a wall color. I'm not going to go with anything that would come in a Crayola pack. We're not going to look at the most saturated version of a color for anything, hopefully. It's really hard on the eye. It reflects back at us really quickly. It should be something that's got some depth to it, that's a little bit more muted, a color that almost acts as a neutral still because it's toned down with some gray.
All right. We'll put some samples. Could you pick some samples and I can put them in the show notes for people to check out at home?
So one, it's kind of like a silvery green gray rushing river, and that's a little bit darker. I think that could look really pretty, or anything in that family really would be awesome. Some of the mintier greens that I like for that scenario would be like the Hancock green, but you could even go with just a simple navy on the trim in some areas. It has to be a space that can handle that amount of drama. But something like Hail Navy is always classic.
Yeah.
And I don't think that Christmas colors necessarily have to be just red or green like we were saying either. This blue could work in perfectly if you're working with more of like the winter snowflake kind of theme. So you're still working with themes that you're already bringing into the house right now. It's just another excuse to create a project.
Well, it's a really cool idea. Painting the trim a different color. We, like you said, we always default to white. And it really doesn't need to be that rule, just like ceilings.
Exactly.
Ceilings don't need to be...
It's the fifth wall.
White, right, exactly. There's so many things we could talk about. That's really all the time we've got. Haley, we will put all those colors that you talked about in the show notes. People can check them out. Thanks so much for hanging out and going over this stuff with us.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, we're going to take a break, but when we come back, it's what everybody's really been waiting for. We're going to launch our Christmas contest for the year. That's all coming up just ahead. Stick around.
If you want to take your DIY skills up a rung, the RepcoLite Home Improvement Show is here to give you a boost on News Radio Wood 1300 and 106.9 FM.
Well, Dan, it's time to launch our Christmas contest. We've done this for 3 years. This will be the third year, the RepcoLite Home Improvement Show Christmas contest. And it's been big fun every year for somebody. And then there's a bunch of people that it's maybe a little less fun. The game is fun until the winner's announced, and it's not.
The winner has fun.
The winner has a boatload of fun.
Everybody else has some fun.
Everybody else has some fun along the way. But what we've got this year is we're going to kind of mimic what we did last year because it worked so well. And it's going to be built along the idea of helping you create the ultimate game room.
Awesome.
In your home. Cool. Now, I don't know if your family, do you play games?
Oh, yeah.
A lot?
Yeah. Scrabble is our game.
Psychological games?
Mind
Sit around
games.
the table and play mind games?
Yeah.
Okay, so Scrabble.
Yeah, we like Scrabble.
Yeah, we've done that before, but my youngest daughter, Hannah, is extremely creative
Oh, with the
and
words?
argumentative.
Oh, yeah. So we have a rule in our house that you have to know what the word means before you can play it.
Okay, I can try that. She's always got an explanation for what the word means.
But we have to be able to look it up in the dictionary.
That's where we've finally gone to. We've got to look it up. The problem is I don't know that we've got a literal dictionary.
Oh, well.
So we go online and we've got to settle ahead of time on a reliable source to go to.
Right.
Because really, any word you can think up, it seems.
Oh, it's available. Yeah, right.
And not all of them have the best definitions. The safest family-friendly definition. And so I hate the idea of us just Googling to find out. But anyway, Scrabble, that's your game.
That's fine.
We've got other games that we've dug into, and that's what we want to do. We're going to give away a bunch of those games.
All right.
In, I think, next week. Jeff Rietveld from Out of the Box Games, Toys, and Puzzles in Zeeland and Grand Rapids. They've got 2 locations. Jeff's going to be here, and that'll be his third year. He's been a part of this each time.
Talking about games.
He's going to give us the best games for Christmas presents this year.
Awesome. Cool.
And these are great games. This isn't just typically Monopoly or Payday or Sorry or some of these standard games or even Scrabble. These are just way out of the box. They're
new,
very unique,
different,
very fun games, and you don't have to be a gamey person. My mom doesn't like games. She never has. I think because Dad cheated all the time, and then we cried. And so games were absolutely zero fun.
Yeah, game night was not a good night at your house.
What's wrong with your soul? If you will cheat 10-year-olds at Monopoly.
I don't know. What if the 10-year-old is cheating? That's what's happened in our house.
Okay. We were never cheating, but Dad would hide money. He was always the banker. Never let Dad be the banker. Anyway, Mom hated games, and yet we've brought some of these games that we found, and she's enjoyed them immensely. So very wide-ranging spectrum. Right, exactly. So we're going to give away almost $500 worth of games, which is really cool. But we're also, because we talked about making this the ultimate game room.
Right.
What game room would be complete without new paint on the walls?
Right. A little bit of decorating.
Right. So we're going to give away 4 gallons of Benjamin Moore or RepcoLite paint. You get to pick any color you want, any product you want.
Sure.
So
floor paint.
We'll work you through, whatever you need.
Anything.
To get that room exactly the way you want. And then a bunch of tools.
Okay.
And some of these tools will be, one-time use things like certain roller covers and things like that. And other tools will be lifelong tools if you take care of them.
Yeah, and every time you use them, you'll think about that contest that you won.
Contest you won. And all those other people that didn't quite measure up. Anyway, that's all coming up. The contest is going to start today. As soon as this show ends, we'll pull the little proverbial trigger, and it will launch this contest to, not the world, to West Michigan.
All right. And that will be on the RepcoLite website, you're saying?
It will be on the website. Actually, we'll have a link on the website to take you to the Facebook page.
Okay.
Because that's where we'll put this little contest. And everybody who's listened in the past couple years and played along, they know what it's going to look like. It's just a kind of a raffle form with a bunch of different ways to enter. But the big fun is that we're going to give away 5 free entries every week to people who can accurately reproduce the password that we give at the end of the next 3 broadcasts.
Okay.
So we've decided we're going to give out reindeer names.
Reindeer names will be the answers to the question.
Exactly. So we will give you a name. Then you need to go find the Facebook page, find that little entry form, which will be right at the top of the page, do all the little entries, and make sure you find for November 28 or whatever week we're on, the little box to type in the reindeer name.
Okay.
And you do that.
All right.
Now, that all sounds really easy, but nobody knows what the reindeer names are.
That's right.
But that's what we'll do at the end of each broadcast.
We
and
will
since
let them know.
We are reaching the end of this broadcast, we're going to give them away right now.
Okay, we're going to let the name
What
out
reindeer
right
name are we going to do?
Comet?
Comet is going to be the name. No, that's funny because that's not what's on our notes. But you just went off the reservation
it was
there.
The top of mind thing.
Yeah, okay. So Comet. So you need to go right now or throughout the week to the RepcoLite Facebook page, find the raffle for the November 8 entry, enter Comet.
Yeah.
Don't fill out the other ones yet because you don't know what they are unless you're clairvoyant. But you get one shot at this. If you get it right, it's going to be 5 free entries into the contest. Anyway, it's a lot of fun. There's a lot of good stuff. We're going to explain more about it next week, but that's all the time we've got.
Cool.
And before I wrap everything up and sign off for the week, I do want to remind everybody that the RepcoLite and Port City paint stores everywhere, all of them, are closed this Saturday yet. We're going to be reopening next week, but we're still struggling with some staffing issues right now and decided that's the best way we can go is to close the stores for the Saturday. So anyway, next week, Saturday, December 5, all the RepcoLite and Port City paint stores are back open on Saturday, but this week, we're closed. Now, whatever you do today, make sure paint's a part of it. I'm Dan Hansen.
And I'm Dan Altina.
Thanks for listening.